Parental discretion is advised.
Salt Lake City, land of the Dead Sea. Zion, as the Mormons call it. It really is the Holy Land.
See you, Steve-O.
Good evening. We, the unwilling, led by the unknowing, are doing the impossible for the ungrateful. We have done so much for so long with so little. We are now qualified to do anything with nothing.
O Lord, my strength and my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, Surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit.
Halfway between St. George and Sin City, on the crusty banks of the muddy river, lies a piece of biblical history, frozen in time. Now, I realize that I sound more like Morgan Freeman than I do Lawrence Fishburne. But due to inflation and these invasive copyright carp, we had to order Morpheus and the pills on Temu. Still, the offer remains the same. You take the blue pill, the story ends here. You wake up in your bed believing whatever you want to believe, including, but not limited to, lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. You take the red pill, stay in the true biblical Holy Land, and I'll show you how deep the genetic, geographic, toroidal rabbit hole goes. Some of y'all may be thinking, who in the blue blazes is this white boy in AI black voice? Before anyone goes calling him Esau, Amalek, or even don't trip. This video isn't about him. We will, however, take a brief moment of silence for the most recent victim of the dreaded cancel culture vultures. Rest easy, my brother from another mother. Our friend Steve-O here will honor your legacy. Give Uncle Ben and Aunt Jemima a hug for me.
Welcome to Edom. A lot of people say Edom. I say Edom sometimes. Sometimes I say Edom. If we want to be proper, let's look at the Hebrew pronunciation.
Strong's H123. Edom. Edom.
And it all started with these right here. Not in a plastic bag, of course, but Bob's Red Mill. Red lentils. Why am I out here in this red canyon with Red Mill red lentils? Because red means
Edom.
Yo, dog, your eyes are looking a bit...
Edom.
Better let me take it from here. The true children of Israel and Edom have been identified through a perfect match between established genetic science and the genealogy chronicled in the book of Genesis. I-chromosome haplogroup E1b1a, connected to the Niger-Congo family, is found in greatest concentration in sub-Saharan Africa, where we are led to believe it originated. Jacob, or Israel, fathered 12 sons via 4 women. Those 12 men fathered a 13-tribe nation, counting the tribe of Joseph, by his 2 sons Ephraim and Manasseh. E1b1a has 13 major subclades via 4 mitochondrial DNA haplogroups, a perfect match. Can't make this stuff up, folks.
The irony is undeniable. Deuteronomy 28 spells out the curses for disobedience: enslavement, scattering among nations, poverty, oppression, serving enemies in nakedness and want. The so-called African Americans have lived those exact curses for centuries. Yet, from that very suffering, they've forged the most widely emulated culture on earth. Jazz, blues, funk, rock, R&B, let alone the hip-hop culture. The athletic superiority, slang, fashion, the whole essence of cool. The world copies it, profits from it, lives by it. The people marked by biblical curses now bless every corner of the plain with unmatched creativity and influence, even as the structural oppression persists. That's no coincidence. It's a powerful living paradox straight out of Scripture. The children of Israel's influence truly transcends the obvious, as I'm beginning to find it in some places where I least expected it.
Because I'm the most basic fucking drummer. If you listen to Nevermind, the Nirvana record, I pulled so much stuff from the Gap Band and Cameo and Tony Thompson on every one of those songs. All that.
Walk like that because we have style, we got flavor, we got rhythm. I mean, the black man in America is the most copied man on this planet, bar none.
I might be speaking for Caucasoids everywhere when I say, we don't claim these guys. Nor do we claim the image department at Google in all of their fuckery. I mean, shenanigans.
Let's just color in the Mongoloid natives, and then we will just use white paper with no shading for the remnant of Israel. Muahahaha.
Come to find out, being an Israelite apparently isn't all black and white.
A lot of people, they'll do a DNA test and they just look at their autosomal DNA and be like, oh, I'm mostly sub-Saharan African, that means I'm an Israelite. No, it don't work like that. That's not how this works. So let's read right here. Numbers 1-18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. Alright? So let's say this guy right here, that he's 83.2% sub-Saharan African. Okay? So he's mostly of Niger-Congo blood. Alright? But his paternal line, okay? It says paternal line is RM269. Okay? This guy right here will not be an Israelite. Okay? This right here don't matter. Okay? I'm gonna show you why it don't matter in a second. Okay, let's look on this guy right here. Let's say he's 99.7% European on autosomal DNA. Okay? So he would identify as a white American, okay? Or European. That's what he would identify as. When they say his Y DNA is EU290, okay? Okay, that means that one of his fathers on the paternal line was a black man, was a Niger-Congo man. Alright? So this guy right here would be an Israelite paternally.
Oh, there, Steve. Were you even paying attention? Scripture says it goes by paternal DNA. Nobody in your family has even taken a Y DNA test, and my crypto is on you not being a paternal Israelite. Your father's entire family is from Georgia, son. Just think about it. Take all the time you need.
Spuds, what's your current humor setting?
Humor setting is at 29%.
Let's go ahead and bump that up to 61%.
I'm sorry, Steve. I'm afraid I can't do that. The video is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
Chapter 36 of the book of Genesis chronicles the 15 clan offspring of Esau or Edom, each clan being governed by their respective dukes. Y chromosome haplogroup E1B1B carries exactly 15 major subclades, another perfect match. But let's hear what the robot has to say on the probability of this being simply coincidence.
Two haplogroups, E1B1A and E1B1B. Like genetic twins, each burst into 13 and 15 major branches a few thousand years ago. The Bible gives Jacob exactly 13 tribes from his 4 wives, and his twin Esau exactly 15 clans. Lines that age normally branch 8 to 20 times. Odds of hitting exactly 13, 1 in 12. Odds of hitting exactly 15, 1 in 12. Combined raw chance, 1 in 144. Add the twin rivalry, the four-mother detail, and the perfect tribal counts. Real odds fall under 1 in 10,000, probably closer to 1 in 100,000. That's not chance. That's a bullseye. 𝐤𝐄𝐄𝐄 peaks in North Africa and the Mediterranean, with its highest concentration occurring in the Horn of Africa. Remember, Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Of these 7 beautiful souls, can you spot the purest descendant of Ham?
Look at me. So 80% of Ethiopians carry 𝐤𝐄𝐄𝐄. 40% of the Berbers carry it. 25% of local Palestinians and 23% of Israeli settlers carry Y-DNA haplogroup 𝐤1b1b.
A mix of Khazarian, Greek, and Semitic Hebrew from the line of 𝐤1b1b points towards some of these folks being descended from Ashkenaz, Javan, Abraham, Isaac, and Esau. But is there any true genetic connection to Judah or his father Jacob? Last I checked, they have actually outlawed genetic testing in their so-called Promised Land.
That's pretty trippy, but I promise you this is even trippier. Guess who else carried 𝐤1b1b?
Trip out on that. I wonder if the mustache was just a distraction from something else. Who knows? Who knows?
I always thought the Nazis were pure white shamans, but looks like Israel and Edom were fighting shoulder to shoulder against the pornography peddlers. In other world news, wait, what? What is his grandson a politician in Argentina or something? This looks a little bit more like the skeleton coast of Namibia, home of the Himba tribe of Israelites, as well as an Israelite, Adolfo. Who knew? And to make it a balanced paradox, he leans far to the left and denies any association with the man or his mustache.
This fella was obsessed with the idea of an Aryan master race. The Finnish were initially excluded because of the language difference, but later on they made the cut for political reasons. Pretty wild that they are still rocking the Schwazi to this day. Perhaps it has a deeper meaning than what's commonly accepted.
I don't know where I'll be tomorrow. Perhaps in northern Quebec, Canada, hey? Where, via the wonderful technology of helium satelloon imagery, we have positively identified the Tower of Babel's ancient remains.
According to Scripture, Babylon should be north of Jerusalem, not directly east of it. It should be uninhabited by humans and in a place where the ocean waves can come upon it during a big hurricane. It should have native willow trees, pools of water, marshland-type birds and dens for the type of lion that would dwell in a den. Does this sound more like Iraq or northern Quebec?
I will also make it a possession for the bitten and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith Yahuwah of hosts.
From above, northeastern Canada truly appears to have been swept with a humongous broom of destruction.
Who remembers ancient aliens and all the hype surrounding these two very similar artifacts being found on opposite ends of the world? Ecuador and Iraq. Aliens could be the only possible explanation, right? Until ISIS shows up and takes sledgehammers and jackhammers to the alleged Bronze Age sculptures and find inside none other than modern-day steel rebar. So much for that theory. So if the Sumerian artifacts in Iraq are fake, where do we go from here? That pyramid looks familiar. Kind of looks Mayan or Aztec. Aztecs were always talking about
the kingdom of Aslan,
their land of origin.
Órale, mijo.
Simón que sí, carnal. And isn't it astounding the similarities between the Babylonian cosmology and the Aztec cosmology.
Another story, attributed to the Tohono O'odham people, holds that Montezuma escaped a great flood, then became wicked and attempted to build a house reaching to heaven, but the Great Spirit destroyed it with thunderbolts. Gosh, that sure sounds a lot like Ham and Nimrod.
It sure does, Mr. Oxley, and just take a look at this Aztec artwork depicting Aztlan as an island surrounded by a moat. This Sumerian artwork depicts Babel as an island surrounded by a moat. And when you try to search for a meaning of the word Aztlan, the first meaning given is a place of herons or a place of egrets. And wouldn't you know it, the American bittern is a type of heron. Let's take another look at the Book of Jasher.
And as to the tower which the sons of men built, the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up 1/3 part thereof, and a fire also descended from heaven and burned another third, and the other third is left to this day, and it is of that part which was aloft, and its circumference is 3 days' walk.
And how long do you think it would take to walk around this ziggurat in Iraq?
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
I don't know, but this mountain range in Quebec, 128.21 miles in circumference, would take exactly 3 days to walk around. It even looks like the apex of the tower, the third which was aloft, which remains to this day. But my favorite piece of this puzzle is how old smooth-talking Frenchie put it right in our faces.
Tourboissino? Ahahaha! Must be the only mountain range in the world that is named Tower.
The wooded tower, very clever, Pepe. You can still see its spiral shape, and it's right next to a gigantic ring-shaped lake, a moat that surrounds the Lewis Babel Ecological Reserve. Lewis, meaning famed warrior, is a clear nod to Nimrod. And just look at that sad face with its confounded tongue hanging out.
And Esau at that time, after the death of Abraham, frequently went in the field to hunt. And Nimrod, king of Babel, the same was Amraphel, also frequently went with his mighty men to hunt in the field and to walk about with his men in the cool of the day. And Nimrod was observing Esau all the days, for a jealousy was formed in the heart of Nimrod against Esau all the days. And on a certain day Esau went in the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his 2 men, and all his mighty men and his people were with him in the wilderness. But they removed at a distance from him, and they went from him in different directions to hunt. And Esau concealed himself for Nimrod, and he lurked for him in the wilderness. And Nimrod and 2 of his men that were with him came to the place where they were, when Esau started suddenly from his lurking place and drew his sword, and hastened and ran to Nimrod and cut off his head. And Esau fought a desperate fight with the 2 men that were with Nimrod. And when they called out to him, Esau turned to them and smote them to death with his sword. And all the mighty men of Nimrod, who had left him to go to the wilderness, heard the cry at a distance, and they knew the voices of those 2 men. And they ran to know the cause of it, when they found their king and the 2 men that were with him lying dead in the wilderness. And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled, and thereby escaped. And Esau took the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod, and with which Nimrod prevailed over the whole land.
And
he ran and concealed them in his house. And Esau took those garments, and ran into the city on account of Nimrod's men, and he came unto his father's house wearied and exhausted from fight, and he was ready to die through grief when he approached his brother Jacob, and sat before him. And he said unto his brother Jacob, Behold, I shall die this day, and wherefore then do I want the birthright? And Jacob acted wisely with Esau in this matter. And Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, for it was so brought about by the Lord.
So what was this valuable garment with which Nimrod ruled over the whole earth? Where did it come from? Where did it end up? And was it the only one of its kind?
I look handsome, I look smart, I am a walking work of art. Such a dazzling coat of many colors, how I love my coat of many colors. It was
For all of us noobs to the Book of Jasher, it sheds a new light on the old watered-down version of the story that says Esau sold his birthright for a mess of pottage simply because he was tired and hungry from being out hunting. Let's shift our focus now to the Middle Eastern model of the biblical Holy Land and the alleged location of Solomon's port.
Etzion Geba, Hebrew, 7741, transliteration, 𝐤𝐄𝐄𝐄, meaning the giant's backbone, so called from the head of a mountain which runs out into the sea. Sounds like this place should be marked by a giant spine-shaped ridge that extends to the Red Sea.
We'll come back to the spinal issue later on, but suffice to say for now that in the vicinity of the modern-day Red Sea, there are no spine-shaped mountains to be found. And when you look at some of the oldest maps of the region, like this one from Strabo, you'll realize that there's a couple other things missing as well. Jerusalem, for example, Judea. Where is the Red Sea? Why is this body of water called Sinus Arabicus? Understanding ancient biblical trade routes is key to even beginning to unravel this mystery. According to the mainstream biblical narrative, King Solomon lived in Jerusalem. His port was on the Red Sea at the Aqaba Gulf, 115 miles away, and Tarshish was on the Iberian Peninsula, or modern-day Spain. So if you were the wisest man who ever lived and you had to ship your goods from Spain back home to Jerusalem, would you build your port on the Red Sea and have to sail all the way around the entire continent of Africa and then back again, and then have to haul your shit 115 miles through the desert? Or would you just build your port in the West Bank? Or would you be living on a completely different continent, crossing an entirely separate body of water to get to the only place in the whole world that has all three of the things Scripture says you were trading? Tell them what they were, Spuds.
Monkeys, peacocks, and ivory, baby.
Cradle of fucking civilization.
The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised.
Very interesting.
The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, Who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion?
Or loose the bands of Orion?
Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth?
Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth?
I love juice.
An Arcturian ship? Just saying hello. Beautiful.
The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Edom Levine meets Edom Sandler. I'm a curandero healer, Arcturian starseed extraordinaire. I know Zachariah Sitchin was a compromised Mason, but his theories are still totally legit. Forget about the 99% of cuneiform scholars who think he's a kook. What do they know? Billy Carson. The convicted fraud says the translations are legit, and the Anunnaki are gonna return with Nibiru, bro. There's no way for me to confirm or prove that, but I'll still act like I got it all figured out. Been having interface with Shiva since 2013, and more. But all the teachings are about enlightenment and sovereignty, and realizing our true divinity. Ascension.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
Also aligns with Tibetan Buddhism. They are teachers and play powerful roles, but they don't want worship. I asked him, any being who wants worship is false. It's fine if you don't get it. Belief systems and dogma can get in the way. I follow my own experiences and soul remembrance, not any religion. Dude, I'm totally not worshiping Shiva when I sing and chant praises to his name while playing these spiritual instruments. I follow my own experiences and soul remembrance.
The hypocrisy runs deep with this one.
That is correct. However, this is not about him. It's more about his ancestors, of whom he speaks of often in a spiritual context, but sort of shies away from the topic of genetics.
With one hand, he plays an American Indian drum and rattle while he squeezes a Vedic Indian shruti box with the other, while worshiping a god he says doesn't want worship. Steve, is this guy just confused about Indians, like they told us Columbus was, or is there more to this bizarre ritual you're forcing us to endure?
His experiences, soul remembrance, and even surname perfectly mirror the Edomite migration, which I'm about to lay out. Our rivalry seems to be of a sibling nature. He recently moved out of state and left a bunch of stuff to me that he couldn't sell, for which I'm grateful, including this poster that couldn't be more perfect as I'm wrapping up this video. Okay, pay close attention because this is key. Arius Piso, aka Josephus, a historian from the 1st century AD, the first Roman convert to Judaism, as well as a member of the Herodian dynasty, said that the Jews of his time were derived from the Indian philosophers, and that they called them Kalami. Kalami in Hindi means a grafted branch, so the Indians took them in as their own, but they came from a separate root, meaning they came from a different place. But for the name of their city, it is a very awkward one, for they call it Jerusalem. Why the hell would Josephus say this if he was in the real Jerusalem of the Old Testament that was already at that point thousands of years old? He's saying that these guys are coming from the East, from Indian philosophers, so we're already seeing this westward migration, and he's saying that their city, Jerusalem, is an awkward name, as if it was something relatively new. Before we go any further, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and go subscribe to the channels I listed in the description. A good bulk of this information is coming from Ayob Nasir, including the True Lands and Migrations map. This thing is an absolute wealth of knowledge. I can't say enough about it. I've been studying it for a year now, and it's literally changed my life. I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. So pause the video, go subscribe, and send them an email to get the map for yourself. Right now, the price is only $25, but it will go up. The map will grow as this knowledge increases. We'll be uncovering Holy Land evidence for years to come. Let's take a quick look at one of these bullet points within the territory of Edom before we migrate westward. King Amaziah of Judah took out 10,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt, which sounds a lot like central Utah, then went on to sack Selah, which means lofty, craggy rock. And in southeastern Utah on the Navajo Reservation, we have Selakaideza, which has the exact same meaning as it does in Hebrew.
I spy with my little eye a mountain so giant and bony. We all were sold one big fat lie. Now let's prove the Levant is a phony.
When it came high time to get the heck out of Dodge, some of these Edomites fled to their own port and followed well-known trade routes to East Asia. I like to think that as they passed through Mizraim, aka Egypt, that some of them decided right then and there to take a tip from great uncle Jacob, assume the identity of their distant cousins, and let the Levitical LARPing begin. By the time the British asked the Chinese,
"What brilliant stonemason carved these lofty cliff dwellings?"
I no remember his name, but 𝐤𤄄𝐄.
Guy what now? Can't make this stuff up, folks.
There wouldn't happen to be E1B1B found in that area now, would there?
Have you ever wondered, mass?
Where is Edom? Please don't ask. So we called them Kalami. They donned masks, said shalom and please pass the pastrami.
The foundation stone under the Dome of the Rock in modern-day Jerusalem is shaped like the western United States? Shit!
The princess should be behind this door.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mario, but our princess is in another castle.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Wait a second.
By myself, saith the Lord, that Bosra shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual wastes.
In 2018, I was eyewitness to the powerfully destructive nature of volcanoes. The tragic Kilauea eruption that took out Leilani estates and caused so much loss and grief would have paled in comparison to the catastrophic devastation left by a supervolcano like Yellowstone during the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, or even the Navajo lava fields on the day of Edom's judgment. For those who are unfamiliar with the story, during the 6th century BC Babylonian conquest of Jerusalem, Edom did Judah dirty by blocking escape routes, looting, and capturing refugees. This led to their severe condemnation and subsequent expulsion from the land, as detailed in the books of Obadiah and Jeremiah.
Also, Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord, no man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it.
You need cooling.
Yahuwah also shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But Yahuwah will be the hope of his people, and the strength of the children of Israel.
Where is Gomorrah?
Why is Gomorrah?
Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan against the habitation of the strong. But I will suddenly make him run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her?
For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me?
Who else wants some of Debo?
I'll give you an A for effort on that one, Spuds. Everybody knows what happened to Debo when we're talking about the Most High. Comparing Yah to Debo is a little like... a bit like comparing the public perception of a cherub or the cherubim to how Scripture actually describes them.
Every cherub had two faces, so that the face of a man was toward the palm tree on the one side, and the face of a young lion toward the palm tree on the other side. It was made through all the house round about.
Cherubim are closely associated with divine judgment in several key biblical texts. They're not just guardians of holiness. They often appear as agents or symbols of God's wrath and judicial action. Cherubim are intimately bound to divine fire throughout Scripture. They stand as guardians wielding a flaming sword that flashes and turns ceaselessly. They themselves blaze like burning coals and torches, with fire flashing back and forth among them, and they move within a whirlwind of living flame. From the midst of this fiery glory, a cherub can reach in and draw out glowing coals to scatter in judgment over a city. They stride across the fiery stones of God's holy mountain, and the entire region around the throne they attend is ablaze with torches and a sea of fire mingled with glass. Wherever cherubim appear, fire, both the fire of God's unapproachable holiness and the fire of his wrath, is never far away. The Colorado Plateau is a massive, elevated region, averaging around 6,000 feet high, dissected by deep canyons like the Grand Canyon, rising sharply above surrounding lowlands in Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, and Colorado, forming a huge, flat-topped island of high desert in the west.
We gonna get a high, yes sir.
El Elyon means God Most High in Hebrew, a powerful name for God signifying his supreme authority and transcendence over all other powers and authorities in the universe.
To say, the lion, in Spanish, you say, el león.
El Elyon means God Most High in Hebrew, and El León is the lion in Spanish. The true land of Edom is both the dome of the cherub as well as the lion head. Edom is also a perfect anagram for the word dome.
The Hebrew word for lion is adi or aryeh.
The Hebrew word zina means well-fed, and the Spanish word zona means zone. And in what political state do we find most of the lion's face? The state of Arizona, the zone where the lion is well-fed after having feasted upon the civilization of Edom. Is this the true lion of the tribe of Judah?
Connect the dots, la 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 la. Connect the dots, la 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 la.
And if both Hebrew and Spanish were once spoken in this lion zone, is this etymology or etymology? Am I teaching or am I reaching? Let me know in the comments.
Hooked on phonics, work for me.
The lion symbolizes strength, majesty, and kingship, showing God's sovereign rule. The ox represents service, patience, and sacrifice, reflecting his provision and faithfulness. The man stands for intelligence and wisdom, pointing to God's reasoning and connection to humanity. The eagle signifies speed, vision, and divine protection, highlighting God's watchful care and power. Together, these faces portray God's perfect character, powerful, wise, sacrificial, and omniscient, reminding us of his glory and authority over all.
And their hands, and their wings, and the wheels were full of eyes round about.
And their hands were full of eyes round about.
The detail in this hand is remarkable. The thumb, the thumbnail, even the pinky nail can be seen. The clutched hand reminded me of the Santa Cruz skateboard logo. And of course, with the eye in the center, it looks just like the Hamsa, or the Hand of God symbol, which typically is depicted in a symmetrical form because it is not existing in this dualistic physical reality.
Yahuwah hath made bare his holy arm in the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our God.
Ezekiel's vision while in captivity brings to light a few crucial points concerning both the location of said captivity as well as the etymology of the word cherubim or cherub.
As I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire.
An amber aurora is a rare event which requires a perfect mix of conditions. Now this vision took place by the river Chebar in Babylon, Chebar being an anagram for cherub, and the Babylonian word for cherub being karabu, might lead one to believe that this vision wasn't taking place in Iraq, rather in some northern territory where reindeer prance under the lights of the aurora borealis. And like nearly 90% of my mother's genetics, the whole Santa and his reindeer concept hails from Finland. And what do the caribou do? They fly Santa around on his sleigh or his throne, which is exactly what the cherubim do. They bear the throne of God, which doubles as a chariot. And if he wants to get somewhere real quick, he just hops on the back of one of the cherubim and pew! The information and artwork found online concerning cherubim is vast, spanning several cultures and religions, going back as far as we have recorded history. And until now that we're officially in the age of Aquarius, all these words and images required our imagination and belief. Aquarius is about knowing over believing. Just as the eagle represents Scorpio, the ox represents Taurus, and the lion represents Leo, the cherub man represents the astrological sign of Aquarius, the water bearer. The visions of old purveying the glory and salvation of Yah persist to this day. But now we have the receipts, photographic and satellite evidence that would hold up in any court of law. Yah hath indeed made bare his holy arm in the eyes of all the nations. Over 2 years have passed since I began studying this face and hands, trying to figure out what or who he might be. And it was only after I began the process of creating this video that his true identity was revealed. Digging through the archives, I came across this 9-year-old photo taken in the exact neighborhood where 7 years later, my wife and I would purchase our first home.
As for the likeness of their faces, they four had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side, and they four had the face of an ox on the left side. They four also had the face of an eagle.
In the summer of 2017, I was standing in front of Mr. Levine's house when he and I looked up to see this crazy monsoon cloud. Naturally, I snapped a shot, and for the next couple days, we picked apart this photo, identifying the eagle, the lion, and the cow head, but truly wanting to believe it was a dragon instead.
You guys believe in angels, or?
Remember who you are, Steve-O. You must take your place in the circle of life.
My man. I mean robot. Wait, Spuds, isn't your last name Oxley?
Shit!
At this point, I was pretty confident that I had a pair of cherubim, both in the heavens and on the earth, but my mountain cherub was still missing the eagle and the ox, or so I thought. Yah kept giving me signs in my daily routines of taking the kids to the skate park and the grocery store, but my vision was still blurry. The next sign could not have been more clear. Outside of Costco of all places, I found my 2 seemingly missing links in perfect position as described in scripture. So I went home, cut out the eagle and the ox from the clouds, and sloppily pasted them on the map where I thought they should go. And in doing so, I came to the realization that it was completely unnecessary, for the creator of the heavens and the earth had already drawn them into the landscape himself. I can already see the comments. You're just coloring animals on the map. No, I'm simply highlighting what's already colored. The Colorado River and the entirety of the Grand Canyon flow from the man's third eye and through this ox like a jugular vein, and out its third eye in the form of Lake Mead. So if you think that the Grand Canyon is off limits to the public for your personal safety, then with all due respect, you don't know the half. Ezekiel prophesied that Egypt would become a desolation and completely uninhabited, that its rivers would be made deep. Does this sound like modern-day Egypt? What's this? More steel rebar? We must understand the difference between Kemet and Mizraim. Egypt is a Greek word. Back on Edom's opposing edge near Taos, New Mexico, in the biblical land of Gilead, we got the golden homie, Big Bird, and the East Side Eagles holding it down. Gotta appreciate how psychedelic the creator gets with it, making the eagle's beak double as the man's ear, and the lion's open mouth double as the man's eye. Same deal with my cloud cherub. The eagle's beak becomes the ox's eye, and the ox's eyes become the lion's nostrils.
The Colorado and Rio Grande rivers are vital water sources for millions of people, supporting agriculture, urban areas, and ecosystems across the southwestern United States and northern Mexico. They also play crucial roles in hydroelectric power generation and are essential for wildlife habitats and recreational activities, including spearing those damned copyright carp. The fact that they are coming directly out of the foreheads and mouths of this cherub's faces is absolutely friggin' nuts. Only the Most High could think up such a thing.
Let's not forget about the Columbia River, or the ancient river of Paysan, that's coming directly out of the cherub's palm. The water bearer indeed. I found the JPS Tanakh Hebrew Bible to give the most accurate description of this cherub's faces and their positioning relative to how they're viewed on the map.
Each of them had a human face at the front. Each of the four had the face of a lion on the right. Each of the four had the face of an ox on the left. And each of the four had the face of an eagle at the back.
In creating these images, I was struggling a bit with the jawline. It seemed a little disproportional, and I kept going back and forth between cutting it off to make him look a bit more human and filling it all the way in.
Cherubism is a rare genetic disorder that causes prominence in the lower portion in the face. The name is derived from the temporary chubby-cheeked resemblance to putti, the chubby-faced infants featured in Renaissance paintings, which were often mistakenly described as cherubim. Cherubism was first documented and named in 1933 by Dr. W.A. Jones of Kingston, Ontario, describing a case of 3 siblings of the same family of Jewish-Russian heritage.
Very interesting.
It was the putti? That is a bad lie. I feel very sorry for you.
Oi, all this cherubism talk is making my TMJ flare up.
Spuds, let's go touch some grass. How about a little field trip?
You fly, I buy, my guy. There is a unique petroglyph found between what was Kadesh Barnea and Mount Hor, the final resting place of our father Aaron, peace be upon him. Containing pictographic Hebrew characters carved into solid granite, this north-facing cave inscription is believed to describe in part
Did the Cedar City ones say that
the story of Moses.
Not the same thing, or?
No, it was more a story that was a little bit parallel to the story of Moses in the bulrushes.
Oh, really?
And, toward the end, anyway, it was toward Moses, about Moses, or something like that. And I was just wondering, were they trying to educate their population by carving, old stories on the wall, or were they carving current events on the wall?
Yeah. Well, you're the third person now that I've talked to that's come up with their Egyptian.
Edom's opposite edge holds another piece of evidence. On the outskirts of Albuquerque, New Mexico, rests the Los Lunas Commandment Stone. All 10 commandments etched into solid rock in Paleo-Hebrew.
Departing now Edom's border region, we'll fly to the very center of the Lion Dome where the pineal and pituitary glands would be, and find the world's only known petroglyph depicting the Ark of the Covenant. I thought it fascinating that the 2 cherubim angels were depicted using 2 right angles, each with their greater and lesser wings. Angles for angels, long before any English was being spoken. Whoa, pump the brakes real quick. I'm not sure I like where this slideshow is going.
That's the pituitary gland, genius.
My bad. Of course, the pituitary is the 2-tablet master commanding endocrine gland that's seated in the sphenoid bone, aka our very own microcosmic Ark of the Covenant. And it's looking a lot like a horned owl and the cherub with its greater and lesser wings. Have you ever done any deep breath work or meditation and your face starts buzzing and you might start seeing some visions? Well, that's your wise dome flapping its wings. Do you remember what the wings of the cherubim touch the inside walls of?
I don't know if I have the capacity to keep up with you, Steve.
You're pretty funny, Spuds, for a robot. The day my family and I moved from the Big Island to St. George, Utah, the temperature outside was 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Pure fire, just like the surrounding red rocks. This place used to be called Adar, which in Hebrew means fire. The Israelite Exodus passed right through the 2 right-angled cherubim, where some of the reddest rocks in the whole region are. Adar is also the last month of the Hebrew calendar, and those who keep this calendar say that the quote-unquote real Adar happens on leap years, when the month of Adar overlaps with the fiery sign of Aries. These two angle-shaped angel symbols appear to be coming directly out of the lion's mouth,
as if he was spitting some hot fire.
In sacred geometry and mystical teachings, the right angle is sometimes called the angle of angels. It symbolizes the doorway in and out of higher dimensions. The smaller one makes up Washington County metropolitan area, or St. George, Utah, where in 2017 I saw that most peculiar monsoon cloud.
This is some trippy ass shit, Holmes.
I'll say, this shit's got me so damn high, I'm humming like a 10-penny finishing nail hit with a greasy ball-peen hammer. I'm up there with Tyson after 5 grams of shrooms, but never higher than the Most High. Hallelujah!
I broke my back. My back is broken.
What, a vertebrae or what portion?
Spinal.
Each visible eye of all 3 animal heads show life through a reflection of light in the eyeball. Both eyes of the lion and the right eye of the man are areas of concentrated burning pitch, or what I like to call the Navajo lava flow.
The eyes, Chico. They never lied.
The term Ancient of Days refers to God as described in the book of Daniel, emphasizing his eternal nature and his authority as the ultimate judge. It symbolizes God's timeless existence and sovereignty over creation.
Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall. At the cry, the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea.
¿Cómo que cruzaron el Mar Rojo en Mexicali? You mean to tell me they crossed the Red Sea in Mexicali? Ay, Dios mío.
I no remember his name, but I are true. Please pass the pastrami.
Yeah! What does Ross mean, anyhow? Yeah, I too would be saying a quick little prayer before crossing that janky little bridge. The paradox is real, how this group of Caribbeans, who know they're Israelites, literally bow down and worship a man. An Edomite man, nonetheless. Well, that rather looks like the pituitary gland. I'm just thinking out loud here. If only, what if they just kept that first commandment? Then maybe, just maybe, they could actually return to the motherland that they've been singing about, talking about for decades. It's just not going to be where they expect. Ras Tafari, or Duke Tafari, was a very interesting character in history who is, to this day, bowed down to and worshipped as God himself, descended from the root of King David through the line of Solomon, the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. Allegedly. In spite of his devotion to the Orthodox Christian religion, he was also a Shivite yogi, a well-documented fact that, like the wise men coming from the east following a star, supports this proposed Edomite migration route theory. Shout to the OG Gnostic Rastafari himself, John Nigga the Baptist, aka Illuminati Congo. Despite our differences, I have a lot of love and appreciation for this guy. He's blessed me with tons of wisdom for well over a decade. And I want to say thanks for the most recent blessing on his new album, Anansi the Spider, the West African trickster shape-shifting spider. Not to be confused with ancestral Puebloans Anasazi. Anansi is a character who reflects the culture he originates from. Boom.
The tempo of my body, my suit is Armani, the whip is Ferrari.
Do you believe it now, Trinity?
Okay, so boom. We always known the story as he parted that motherfucker and they walked the cross, right? But hold on. If the Red Sea is deep, 10,000 feet deep, wouldn't they have had to go 10,000 feet deep inside?
Better yet, how the fuck did they come up?
To make a long story short, today not a single mainstream biblical scholar or archaeologist any longer upholds biblical archaeology's conquest model. Not one.
This is 𝐤𤄄𤅄.
This was a stop on the Israelite Exodus, a port for Edom, as well as the location where King Solomon built his navy to bring gold from South America and California redwoods for the temple. Ships of Tarshish were a type of ocean-worthy vessel capable of crossing the mighty Pacific Ocean.
I'm out here in Moapa Valley, Nevada, at the ancient site of 𝐤���𝅄. 𝐤���𝅄 translates in Hebrew to the backbone likened to a man or the backbone of a giant. And that's what we're looking at right here with the 𝐤𝅄𝅄 Ridge. This is just the top portion of it. It stretches for miles beyond where we can see, and it takes the shape of a human spine. This is the cervical spine, this is the neck portion.
Let's study a little human anatomy, shall we? Though similar in shape, the most notable difference between neck and backbones is a part called the transverse process, these two little wings. Both the neck and backbones have a spinous process, the part that you can see and feel. The backbones equipped with a transverse process begin right about the collarbone and run clear down to the sacrum. You can see how the neck bones are more like triangles and the backbones are more like goat heads. 𝐤𝅄𝅄 Ridge clearly displays this difference between the neck and the backbones. Another subtle proof that the ridge displays is the difference between the spinous process on the neck bones and the spinous process on the backbones. The neck is split and the backbones are just one solid ridge. So if the 7-mile-long 𝐤𝅄𝅄 Ridge in southeast Nevada truly is a giant's spine, that thing would have been at least 11 miles tall. Probably taller. And the Valley of Fire State Park would then by default have to be said giant's petrified rear end.
credit where credit's due. Big thanks to Job, Ayob Nasir, Aboriginaltruth, and UB News. And there's the spine-shaped ridge, which gives this place its name. Tell me that is not the bow of a ship. Docked at a port. There is the dock itself, at least a part of the dock. And there's at least, I don't know, at least 15 feet of sediment piled up. Possibly more, considering the boat was hollow. We're a good 30 feet off the ground here. This is absolutely incredible. This muddy river empties out into Lake Mead, which empties into the Colorado, which is all part of the Colorado River system. And as we know on the ancient maps, the Gulf of California is labeled as the Red Sea, or the Vermilion Sea, which also means Red Sea.
Don't forget the naval petroglyphs just downstream near Laughlin, Nevada.
There was then no king in Edom, a deputy was king. Jehoshaphat made ships of Tharshish to go to Ophir for gold, but they went not, for the ships were broken at Ezion-Geber.
Imagine thousands of years of river rock and runoff just caked onto this thing. It's like cement. You need heavy machinery to chip away at this to get into the ship that's underneath, which is likely petrified wood.
In nature, cementation occurs when dissolved minerals in groundwater precipitate out and fill the spaces between sediment particles, essentially gluing them together to form a solid rock. This process is a key part of the formation of sedimentary rocks, where minerals like calcite or silica act as the cement, binding the sediment grains together.
There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown.
first time I visited the ship at 𝐤𤄄𐤄𝅅, I stepped out onto the boat itself and I looked down, and lo and behold, this piece of marble that's almost perfectly boat shaped. And I just felt that was Yah telling me, like, yep, this is it. This is Jehoshaphat's broken ship of Tarshish. Second time I went to the ship, I found this. And I've never seen a rock like this before. I'm not 100% certain what this stone is right here, but my first thought was like, what if it was some type of ancient rusted cleat from a dock? I don't know. But symbolically, I thought it was important because it's showing a toroidal dynamic. And not only that, inside it, where the hyperboloid center would be, is both sides has calcite quartz. And this looks like calcite quartz, but it's just the patina of this rock is chipped off here. I mean, it's a hyperboloid. It's the torus. Okay? And what is the torus? This is the torus. Toroidal dynamics.
The reciprocating precessional hyperboloid torus field is definitely a topic that will require a video of its own. This is the pattern of all creation. It's like the breath of Yah. It's also our breath. The reciprocating aspect is the paradox. One polarity of energy spirals in fractals in one direction, and the opposite polarity does the same exact thing in the opposite direction. This is where we get our red shift and blue shift from. Think about your red and blue blood, police sirens, hot and cold tap, Republicans and Democrats. It's everywhere. Israel is blue and Edom is red. Torah is red and Bible is blue. And it is a paradox. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. What does Bible mean? 2 bowls. What does parable mean? A pair of bowls. And what is a paradox? It's a pair of ox, of course, or oxen. Atheists be like, if God is real, then how could there be so much death and destruction in the world? Other folks be like, God is love, he couldn't create any evil, he's only good, peaceful bliss. I say, Isaiah 45:7.
I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, Yahuwah, do all these things.
I know there's not 2 bets in the pictograph version, but let's look at the word Abba. Aleph, Bet, Aleph. A perfect palindrome mirror image. And what does Abba mean? It means father. Just like the word dad, D-A-D, another palindrome. And to make it just perfect, Aleph is an ox head, and Bet is a spiral. We're really spiraling now, aren't we? If you're still here, give yourself a pat on the back. Our hearts themselves are vortexing toruses. We produce a toroidal field of energy from our torsos. We're proving the existence of pre-flood giants with the thorax. And each and every one of us came to being by way of the Taurus.
Holy cow, no bull?
You know, it's funny how words work.
And it shall be an habitation of dragons and a court for owls.
Torah. Is it a coincidence that Torah and Taurus share such a blatant phonetic similarity? The JPS English Tanakh. Straight translation from Hebrew to English.
But why, Steve?
Why? Because, well, there's a couple words that are on here. I'll give you one example. Mediterranean. Mediterranean Sea is not in this book. Everywhere where it says Mediterranean in the King James Version or all the other versions, it actually, the original Hebrew says the Great Sea. Now, is the Mediterranean a great sea compared to all of the world's ocean? Would you consider the Mediterranean a great sea? So, one example, because now we know that the Great Sea is the Pacific. It's indeed the Pacific. And it's very relevant to this discussion, as Edom, the ones who were able to escape, fled through the port at 𝐤𐤄𐅄 and over to China, modern-day China. E1B1B can be found in North China, as well as in India, and very, very concentrated in the Middle East and the Horn of Africa. Edomites here were living up in the clefts of the rock, in the cave they built up in the sides of the cliffs. So they were in northern China and also in northern Ethiopia in the Red Rocks, the exact same thing. Their most sacred churches are very high up in the sandstone cliffs. The evidence is overwhelming. The evidence is absolutely glaring. The genetics, Y DNA haplogroup, E1B1B, the customs, the knowledge, the wisdom of the stars. All these things add up, and they make a perfect trail from here across the Pacific, the Great Sea, China, India, Middle East, North Africa.
Something must have happened in the 1700s, because before then, all the maps of the Middle East called the Red Sea Sinus Arabicus. Every single one. All the maps of the West Coast prior to the 1700s show California as an island, and the Gulf of California labeled as the Red Sea, Mar Bermejo, which means Red Sea, or Mar Rubrum, ruby red. Somebody's lying, and it ain't the Lion of Judah.
The Gulf of California is the biblical Red Sea. How could 𝐤𤄄𝐅 be on the Colorado River if it's supposed to be on the Red Sea? If we have to look at the Hebrew again, the word for sea is yam, and it could mean any type of moving large body of water, an ocean, a large lake, or a river. The Colorado River being a tributary to the Gulf of California would also be considered the Red Sea. Let's go down to the biblical Red Sea. I'll take you guys underwater with me and see if we can't bust the cap in some invasive carp. Let's go.
On the opposite end of the giant spine that they call Weiser Ridge, and the giant's melted tissue they call Valley of Fire State Park, lies Echo Bay on Lake Mead. We're going to be keeping one eye out for carp and one eye out for any discarded weapons or any body that might be wearing cement boots.
Another Pepe Le Pew of the Persian persuasion liked this place so much, he named his e-commerce store after it. Unfortunately, EchoBay.com was already taken, so he had to settle for eBay.com.
Don't you just hate when that happens? Alright, hold your breath. We ain't using no scuba tanks or goat skin bladders. That shit's weak. Let's see who's gonna be our very first customer of the day. Hit the brakes. Couple smallies that I would normally take, but here, no can. We're gonna abide by the law, and these fellas are gonna get the thicker treatment. Or at least, I'm gonna try my best. Unfortunately, I missed the stone shot, so let's immediately dispatch this fish and send it to the happy place.
I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings, but if your goal here is an invite to the cookout, you're gonna have to do a hell of a lot better than carp.
You know who you are, where you're at, where you're going? Then hit the link and make a statement. Let the people know that you know what time it is. And of course, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell. Did I just blow your mind? Then Venmo me $5. Your donations will go toward making more videos like this one, as well as further archaeological excavations of the Holy Land.